Hello friends, I am here today to share with you a recommendations video. Kind of needed a last minute video for today, so I thought I would do a recommendations. But I couldn't really decide what specific trope to do recommendations for. So I decided to take 6 of some of my favorite tropes and give you a couple of recommendations for them. So the first recommendation that I want to go with is a sports romance, and love a good sports romance, but I do feel like it gets kind of, the sports romance books get kind of caught up on the more like traditional sports, football, basketball, hockey, baseball. Oh my goodness, totally like poof out of my mind. So I wanted to give some recommendations that were not those sports. So the first one I have is the Renegade series by Rebecca Yarros. This is book 1, Wilder, book 2 is Rebel, and book 3 is Nova. I believe those are in the correct order. Might not be right. But basically, this is so shiny. The Renegades are a group of 3. They each have their own book, and they are like extreme athletes. Think like X Games meets oh my gosh, my mind totally went blank. I think X Games meets like Jackass, like extreme stunt sports. And book 1 starts off, they are going on this like round the world cruise to film in different areas, film different stunts in different areas of the world. And I'm terrible with character names. Leah, or Leia, however would you like to pronounce it, is kind of, I think she like wins some type of job, kind of, to be the tutor on the cruise for going around the world. So this one is a tutor student, but they're the same age, like they're both adults. I believe, but one of them is a second chance romance, and then the other is a kind of a one night stand, actual like, I don't know if he's a doctor or a professor student situation. But yes, I love these because they're the first ones that they're the first ones that I read that weren't like a traditional sport, if that makes sense. So I highly recommend this series. Going along with that, I have Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is book 1 in her Dirty Air series, and this is a Formula One romance. I back like at the end of the last Formula One season, the 2021 season, I like saw stuff on Twitter about it, and my personality is I gotta know when something is happening, and there was a bunch of drama, so I was watching it, or so I was keeping track of it. And then I watched Drive to Survive on Netflix. Like I had to watch all of the seasons. And so when I heard that Lauren Asher had written a whole series of Formula One romances, I knew I was gonna love it. So this one is Noah and Maya. Maya's brother is also a Formula One racer, and he is Noah's rival slash teammate, and she is going around the world with them, traveling for the season, and she and Noah just get really drawn to each other, and they start to become friends, and then it becomes more. But what are they gonna do? Because like she's not supposed to be with him, like her brother would be mad. I loved this so much. This is the only one I've read so far in the series, so I can't, like, I'm sure I do recommend the series, but officially, this is the only one I can recommend right now. The next trope I have is an enemies to lovers. I have one historical and one contemporary for this one. The historical that I have is Married by Morning by Lisa Kleypas. This is in her Hathaway series, and this is Leo and Catherine. Catherine is a companion to Leo's sisters, and I think it's got something to do, yeah, with an inheritance. As Leo must marry and produce an heir within a year to save his family home. So he proposes to Catherine. I think she's running. Oh yeah, she's got a bit of a secret past. So that's why she actually like agrees. So it's a marriage of convenience, but they don't like each other. They've had a very antagonistic relationship up until this point. And the contemporary I have is Here With Me by Samantha Young. This is book 1 in her Adair family series. This one is Robin, who she is a former police officer, and after being injured on the job, she decides that she's going to make amends with her estranged father. So she goes to Scotland where he lives and works. He's the head of security for the Adair family. So when she sees Lachlan Adair, who is, I think, a former actor, she's very standoffish with him because she thinks that he has kind of like kept her father away from her. And then there's a mystery suspense element in here too if you're looking for that. But like, this is a long book, but I like flew through this. I think I read it in like a day and a half, 2 days. Yeah, highly recommend if you're looking for that kind of bantery enemies to lovers. The next trope I have is marriage of convenience, and this is specifically contemporary marriage of conveniences because I feel like it's a little bit easier to do in a historical. I mean, like mostly if you just want a contemporary marriage of convenience, just put it in as an inheritance, which is what both of these two are. So the first one is Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. It's book 2 in her Dreamland Billionaire series. This is Declan and Iris. Declan has to get married and produce an heir to get his portion of the inheritance from the grandfather, and Iris is his assistant who, up until the start of this, was trying to find him a wife and then volunteers herself because she can't get anybody to agree to marry him. I thought that this was super sweet. I thought it was super emotional. I thought that they kind of had like bouts of communicating really well and then like regressing back into their former like positions where he was the boss and she was the employee, and then they really worked it out to get back to a true romantic relationship. And then the other one I have is You Can Have Manhattan by Pete Angelico. This one is Sydney and Scott. Scott's family, I don't remember what exactly his family, they owned some type of business that Sydney worked for. And when they find out that his dad is, I think they find out he's sick, and Sydney really wants to take over the business and be the CEO, but the like board of directors wants it to stay in the family. So Sydney and Scott, I believe it's actually the dad's idea, that they get married so that she can be the CEO. The next trope that I have is a road trip romance, which I love taking road trips, so no surprise that I like them in my romance books. The first one I have is A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare. This one is Minerva and Colin. This is in the Spindle Cove series. They're coming from Spindle Cove. Minerva wants to get to Scotland for some type of I feel like she liked like astronomy. I feel like there was some type of speaker or something that was happening there. And Colin, it says Colin just wants to be anywhere but Spindle Cove. It says so they have 1 week to fake an elopement, convince family and friends they're in love, outrun armed robbers, survive their worst nightmares, to travel 400 miles without killing each other. So yeah, they're going from Spindle Cove to Scotland, and they're traveling together, and lots of hijinks. The other road trip romance I have is Quarter Miles by Daphne Perry. This is in her Runaway series. So like technically they are standalones, technically, but it really makes more sense if you know why they're on a road trip, which you find out in books 1 and 2. So this one is Catherine and Cash, and the whole premise of the Runaway series is that there's a car that their group of, are they all? Yes, all of the like main characters are females. So it's a group of females that they're trying to get from Boston to California. They're trying to get the car from Boston to California, but like each one kind of makes like a pit stop along the way. And so in this one, Catherine is going on her leg of the road trip, or of the trip to Oregon, I believe it was. And she's decided, she's been living with Cash's family, and she has had a crush on him for a really long time, and she's finally decided that she is over it and that she needs to be away from him to really get over it. And she's tired of just being his friend and all of that kind of stuff. So she is leaving on the road trip, and Cash shows up the day that she's leaving and like won't get out of the car, so he ends up on the road trip with her. So this one was my favorite of the series, and it's actually one of the only Daphne Perry books that I've given 5 stars, but I just really felt for Catherine in her crush that she had on Cash, and how worried she was that he was faking liking her just so that he wouldn't lose her as a friend. And yeah, loved this book. Next, I have a couple of protective love interest. This is one that it's hard for me because it's very easy to get like an over the top, almost toxic love interest. So this one's a hard trope for me because I do enjoy it, but there's like a line, you know. So the first one I have is The Rogue of Fifth Avenue by Joanna Shoup. This is book 1 in her Uptown Girl series. This one is Frank and Mamie. Frank is a lawyer for one of his clients is Mamie's father. And he kind of finds her like sneaking around on the like seedier side of town, and decides that it is his responsibility to make sure that she's safe. And one of the first instances we see in the book, he obviously gets found out that he's there and trying to protect her, and then like he kind of tells her that he's been doing it a while, and I thought it was so sweet that he was there in case she needed him, but he also like mostly let her handle things on her own. And the other recommendation I have for protective love interest is Keep Her Safe by K.A. Tucker. I don't talk about this one much, but other than like The Simple Wild, this is my favorite K.A. Tucker. So this one is Noah and Gracie. They are the children of former cop partners. Gracie's dad was he kind of like came out as like a dirty cop, and I think he was killed. Yeah, people here don't care that her dad was a corrupt cop murdered in a drug deal gone wrong. And then Noah's mom was his partner, and so they kind of start to find out some things that maybe the history that they've been told isn't how it actually happened. And I just think that Noah was very protective of Gracie, and not only physically but also mentally. Like, she's finding out all of this stuff about her dad, and that it may not be what she's held on to this anger for so long. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, if you like a little bit of, I guess you'd call this a romantic suspense. Okay, well, Publishers Weekly calls it a romantic thriller. But yeah, this is like my favorite Katie Tucker besides The Simple Wild. So, and finally, the last trope that I'm going to share for today is a single parent. I believe, yeah, both of these are single dads. I feel like I just read more about single dads than I do single moms. So if you have any recommendations for me of single moms, leave those for me down below, please. So the first one is Broken French by Tasha Boyd. This one, as far as I know, is a standalone. I believe there were some characters that I hope get a book, but I don't know if they do. So this one is Josie and Xavier, and Josie becomes a nanny for Xavier's daughter when they are on their yacht. Or yeah, I think they spend most of the time when she's the nanny on the yacht. I think when they're at home, they have other people to take care of her. But yeah, this is so atmospheric. It's another great travel romance if that's what you're looking for. It's a nanny romance. I highly recommend. And the other book for a single parent romance is Look the Part by Julie Ann. I just recently read this one, I think a couple of months ago. This one is another one that I think is a really sweet book because Ellen, the main character, is a music therapist, and she rents the space from Flint. She rents below his office. She rents the building below his office from him, and she really forms a bond with his son, who is on the autistic spectrum. So she's doing her musical therapist thing. I don't know how to say it, but she really forms a bond with the son, and then that kind of transfers over to the dad, who is very reluctant to be in a relationship. But yeah, it's another one I thought was super sweet. So those are some of my recommendations for these tropes. If you have any that you would like for me to check out, leave them for me down below, please. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time.